if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody who do you want. Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Bigger power, yeah.
We got it for you.
We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling dealing.
Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Welcome to Talk 'em in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we focus specifically on the wrestling promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype men, and we pontificate on the promo. This is your first time or your second time listening to us. Thank you for joining us. If you want to check out the back catalog, we got all kinds of forms of media, from short form to short, more reviews, and long forms, just like this episode. That's intothebuilding.com. But again, if you're here with us, we focus on the promo and we see it for what it is. Does it truly talk you into the building? My name is Adalid. I'm one of your co-hosts for today out in beautiful Los Angeles, California, although it's going to rain pretty soon. I don't know how much beautiful it's going to be. Joined by the homies, my compadres, my pro wrestling aficionados. I got Adrian and Greg out in Atlanta. Adrian, how you feeling tonight? How's it going for you?
Feeling good and feeling great, man. I'm excited for another episode. Shout out to any new listeners. Like, comment, subscribe. Always do
Absolutely.
that. Always.
Absolutely. And of course, our resident historian, because whenever I need to know anything in context, I go to Greg. Greg, what's up, brother?
Oh, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Oh, loving it, man. Glad to be here. Glad to be above ground. Can't ask for more.
That's it.
But we when we talk about these promos, one of the biggest things that we talk about is how they live in a space, how they live in an era or in a time period. But something we often don't think about is how much the crowd, and dare I say, a city, plays into the identity of promos, right? You think of the big old, that's a New York promo, that's a Southern promo, right? There's even, in past years, I've seen more of a Pacific Northwest style, a modern Pacific Northwest style. But let's take a little road trip first, because we're all travelers. We've all taken a plane to a pro wrestling show here and there in our lives.
Definitely.
I want to get your thoughts here right at the top. Thinking of wrestling cities, thinking about the crowd, from your perspective, from your travels, having been to more than one city for a wrestling context, what are some of the better crowds, whether it was an indie show? WrestleMania is a little bit trickier because it's kind of an all-inclusive piece. But, what were those wrestling crowds that really took you back and made you think, wow, like I'm really in this specific audience participation or crowd reaction because of the city that I'm in? It doesn't have to be good or bad. I'm just curious about what might have been more memorable for y'all. But Adrian, I'm going to give you some think time here and Greg, and I'll just shout out one city that struck out to me for very specific reasons, but shout out to Chicago every single time.
100%.
Everything I heard, everything I saw on VHS and eventually DVD and streaming lived up to the hype when I got to see an independent show, AEW in Chicago in the freezing of winter. Boy, your fans are downright dedicated. And once we were in the building, boy, did they respond to every promo. They knew every storyline.
Yeah.
They knew how to respond, to the heels, to the baby faces, to the managers. They knew the intro. They knew the deal from beginning to end. And it was something to witness, because even when things went south, trust me, they responded in kind. They would tell you the truth if it killed you.
Yeah.
But for me, that was one of the coolest experiences, was to travel out for a weekend, take in the local vibes, and really enjoy that crowd and enjoy how much that shaped promos ultimately and what talked me into the building in the first place.
No doubt.
But Adrian, I'm gonna come to you next. What's that city for you that does it?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same exact thing, man. Chicago, man. I, another friend, shout out to Oscar. We went out to Chicago so we can meet Naito, but we also went to a pro wrestling show, and that was AEW. It was a unannounced card, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, man, the crowd was locked in and tuned in, and they knew, even though they didn't know who was on the card, other than Naito, of course. Um, they handled each wrestler appropriately. That's what I can say. The baby faces were over. They were getting love. The heels were getting booed. One performer in particular, unfortunately, had a little internet outrage that literally that day. Some drama going on with him.
Yeah.
Some serious accusations, and the crowd all knew it. And they handled him exactly how you would imagine a Chicago diehard IWC heavily based crowd to handle a wrestler like that. And it was like nothing I've ever seen before as a pro wrestling fan. So I always like to tip my cap to that crowd. They were nuts, man. Chicago definitely, if they're not at the very top, they're one of the top crowds I've ever been a part of.
That's great. Greg, any thoughts on any other city that you had to experience?
Yeah, so one that I experienced was ECW Arena, Philadelphia, for an ECW original show. Not WWE ECW, not
Okay.
AEW coming into the 2300, not NXT, old school ECW.
Nice.
That was different. That was
Yeah.
it was a different
Yeah.
world.
Can
And it's
only
not just how
imagine.
it was inside. It was actually more about even how it was outside,
Okay.
because the line down the street to get in, and yeah, you had tickets, but that was about it. You had
Mm,
tickets, and you was hoping a prayer. So it was just crazy. And outside they're just yelling, and I was throwing New York too, because there's a whole busload of people, and I don't mean a busload like figuratively. I mean like literally a bus came from New York that they
nice.
rented and brought people to this show. And of
Nice.
course, there was a rivalry in the parking lot. Not like in a bad way, but Philadelphia fans
Yeah,
chanting, New
friendly
York fans
rival.
chanting.
Yeah.
It was just cool. It was kind of surreal. It was closer to the tail end of ECW, so it wasn't in the
Mm-hmm.
prime of the Dudleys and all that. But I do remember Blue Meanie coming in and bringing in Jasmine St. Clair and all that kind of stuff.
Oh
And
boy.
Oh wow.
it was wild. It was a wild, wild day. But that was fun. That was different. And I was thinking about some other crowds, and I've been to Charlotte back in the day
Mm,
with WCW
Okay.
slash NWA. That was
mm-hmm,
crazy, because you have to remember the
mm,
loyalty to NWA at that time was
Right.
wild, and Atlanta
mm-hmm.
was the same way.
Definitely.
Um, it,
We
it's
are spoiled.
it's
We're
different
honestly
now,
spoiled.
right? It's just different.
Ooh.
The Attitude Era, you have to take that out. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because the area was just
Mm-hmm.
so hot. Atlanta's very different now. Atlanta can be hit and miss, to be honest with you. But back
Mm,
then, it's crazy. The Omni and then going into Phillips slash State Farm Arena used to be
mm-hmm.
crazy. Um, you could just pop. I remember they put the Omni on sale. We had every Sunday night once a month. That night tickets would go on sale for the following month, and it would be 3/4 full already. Like that night, if
Mm,
you didn't buy tickets that night, you were already
Wow.
screwed. Yeah,
mm,
so they would go on sale at intermission, and sometimes they had to extend intermission because there were so many people in line buying tickets.
mm,
So,
Man.
but yeah, Philadelphia, I think that's probably one of the most consistent ones. I think we've seen that over and over and over.
mm.
They're not
Yeah.
forgiving, but as you've heard before, if you can make it in Philadelphia and win those crowd that
Mm-hmm.
that crowd over, you can pretty much win anybody over.
What, like, if you think back to, I know it's hard to think about like specific fans and
Hmm.
whatnot, but that's a very particular era, right? Like tail end of ECW. So who's watching now is really the diehards.
Hmm.
It's the ones who are like, we're hanging on to this, this thing falls apart,
Right,
basically.
right.
Hmm.
So going in there and experiencing, like, what was that typical ECW fan, or like what was the crowd like? I know it says a male dominated business.
Yes,
That's hard to say,
very much
but
so,
Mhm.
even more so back then, right? Because
especially in there
what was the
because
crowd?
um, it's not exactly in the nicest part of town. I don't know
Mhm.
Philadelphia, but I do know that
Right.
they told you stay here. Don't go far.
There are warning signs.
Yes,
You can see
yes,
them.
sir. I think this is a little bit different today, but back then, and to be quite honest, it was your stereotypical black t-shirt, jeans, and could have used a little
Oh
bit
my
more
gosh,
deodorant
that's
wrestling
awesome.
fan. So it was what it
Mm,
was.
mhm.
You had, but the cool thing was you did have people who came from all over the place. Like if you start talking, we
Right.
were from Atlanta. You had people from like I think there's somebody from like Wisconsin. It was something weird, something like Midwest
Mm,
Mm.
that came out there for that show. And it wasn't a big show. It was just a show, right? It wasn't like
mm,
November to Remember, nothing like that. We just
mhm,
like,
Mhm.
hey, we can go, let's go. And we had buddy
mhm.
passes on Delta, and we took off. But
Nice, nice.
it was fun. But it was stereotypical, 100% what you expected. Is very few females, no families. I don't think there are any kids. Um, and that was probably best. I mean, let's call it what it was. We just talked about who came out, right? So
Right.
Jasmine St. Clair is not exactly the person you want your daughter Googling. So I'm just
Jeez.
This is
saying.
true.
Yeah.
And if anybody who doesn't know who that is, y'all feel free to Google it. Don't do it at work. Uh, and so, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I actually stood around and talked to Bill Apter for a while. He was there.
No.
Yeah,
Mm,
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah.
Oh, I love that.
one of the
Um,
nicest
What's
guys
he
in pro
like?
wrestling.
so I've been able to talk to him twice. All right. So if y'all want story time, I'll give y'all a quick story. So Starcade,
Mm,
I'm gonna date myself, y'all. 86, Night
okay.
of the Skywalkers. I'm on the third row,
Wow.
and he comes and talk. He's there, and I talk to him. I'm like, "That's Bill Apter, Mom. That's Bill Apter." My mom took me. Yes, I was little,
Mm,
very little, and my mom's like all in, right? So I talked to him, and my mom for years talked about he was so nice to you. Like that guy was so nice, and I was able to tell him that story. And
Oh
that's
my
awesome.
he was like, "Is she with us
gosh.
anymore?" I said, "No, she's not." And he was like, "Man, I appreciate that." Like he almost got emotional, and it wasn't a big deal. It was just
Mm,
something that
Right.
stood out to her
Uh-huh.
from that night. Two things stood out to her that night. Two, one, Bill after being so nice to me, and two,
mm.
as the way she put it, Nikita's tallywhacker fell out when during the suplex. Those are the two things.
That's hilarious.
If anybody doesn't know that, Flair picked up Nikita and things fell out. His sickle fell out.
Oh
So there you
man,
go.
that's hilarious.
Oh, I'm dying, dude.
That's funny. That's funny. Now,
Oh my
Apter is
gosh.
one of the nicest
Yeah.
guys ever, ever. I met him at a WrestleCon. I forgot which one. I want to say it was Dallas, but yeah, he's awesome, man. He's an awesome, sweet
Hmm.
guy. Very
That's great.
obviously very knowledgeable, but
Right.
super approachable.
Man, I got to get one of my Aftermags signed or something and meet
Mm-hmm.
him. That's dope. That's great. I'm glad that he's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hilarious story though. But
Yeah,
again, it's
yeah,
like, yeah, that's what your family would remember.
yeah, yeah.
But and
Fun
here's the
fact
other
of
thing.
you,
My mom,
yeah.
I got my mom hooked so much on wrestling that I had gone to Dallas. I'm spending the
Uh
summer
huh.
with my sister, who, by the way, my brother-in-law, who hated wrestling, took me to wrestling. And I'm in Dallas, and it was, I think, Piper versus Orndorff or something like that came to the Omni. And my mom's like, I'm going. I'm like, you can't go
Nice.
without me. And her and my brother went. And I'm
Oh
like,
wow.
and my brother, not my oldest brother, but my other brother, um, and he wasn't a wrestling fan, but they went because my mom wanted to go. She's like, no, I'm going to see Piper get whooped. So I was
All
Nice.
like,
right.
Hell yeah.
that's what I'm
Right
talking
on.
about,
That's
mom.
awesome,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
That's
Hell
sick.
yeah. That's awesome.
Well, that seems like a really nice way to put a pin on it because the last time I took my dad to wrestling, he almost got killed by a cannonball. So go to back catalog, check out that story.
Mm-hmm.
It's less well, it's sweet to me, but anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh we're gonna come back to this. I love hearing stories of like hearing the thoughts on the crowds and what makes every city unique. And clearly, we have fond memories of even venues, family and friends, and spouses now become such a integral part of our love of wrestling. And I know our spouses probably sat us through us watching God knows how many promos and been oblivious and sometimes very into it, because this is the language of convincing, right? We're trying to get someone into a building, and here we're talking about cities. So right off the bat, I'm gonna name one of the greatest wrestling cities, and again, we got Greg here. He can help me fill in the blanks. We're going to transition here and get started with our first promo for the night, as we explore the city's influence on the promo. It's going to come from a very young wrestler we know now. This is from USWA, and it is an older one, so it's 1990. And let me just show you the first screen here, because I think it's going to set the tone for where we are historically. Take a look at my man's mustache. Take a look at his
Nice.
his tan suit.
let's
Look
go.
at those monitors with wrestling on. Oh man, like if you just showed me this thumbnail, especially if you're just listening, this is like a 1990 control room somewhere in the TV station. This is Jeff Jarrett and the Southern Rockers with a very classic USWA promo.
The Southern Rockers, fine tag team, getting better and better each week. I understand Jeff Jarrett is joining the Southern Rockers. We had an opportunity a little bit earlier to get what they had to say regarding this big six-man tag match coming up. Let's go to that interview right now.
Hey, everybody out there, we got some big news for you. I'm going to tell you something. The last few weeks, against the Dirty White Boys, Ronnie Gotham, you've been sticking your nose continuously, jumping us from behind, anywhere, anytime. It don't matter whether it's been interviews. It don't matter whether it's been in the ring. You're always sticking your nose in our business. Well, let me tell you something, brother. We found out we have some friends in the USWA, too. Not to mention all the fans behind us. We got some friends, too, that are watching our backside. And things are coming to a head. Because let me tell you something, brother. We got the match signed. We wanted, thanks to the USWA committee. We got you guys in a big six-man tag. We got Jeff Jarrett here going to be on our side. We're going to do some kicking butt.
That's right, Steve. You know, you guys have just been here a couple of months, and I'm glad that you got the tag belts on. But the Dirty White Boys, like you said, every time y'all got an interview or a match, Gossett, you got to stick your big fat head in. Yeah, I never have liked managers, and I never will. But this week, you're not going to be a manager, Ronnie. You're going to be a wrestler. That's right. You got to get your wrestling license, and you got to get up in that ring. And it's going to be a six-man tag. And me and Steve and Rex, we don't got to worry about you jumping in because you're going to be there from the start. And yeah, like Gossett, I heard you out here talking about you got a heart condition and you're not fit to be a wrestler. Well, I hope that we'll teach you a lesson this week to jump people from behind or jump in on matches, because Gossett, once and for all, it's going to be a six-man tag, and like Steve said, it's coming to a head, and things are going to explode this week. And Gossett, the three of us got something in store for you.
That's right, just like my partner said in Jeff Jarrett right here. Ronnie Gossett, Dirty White Boys, we're sick and tired of you people. We're sick and tired of getting back joked from behind. You know, look at this head. That's you, Dirty White Boys, jumping us out here when we're trying to do an interview or when we got a match going on. Things are going down. It's all going down this week, baby.
Jeff Jarrett and the Southern Rockers with a lot on their mind.
Man, you know it's going to be something when you can hear the hiss of the VHS transfer. Greg, I know, it's Memphis. What else can you say, right? This is it. Produced backstage segment, and clearly this is a TV, right? We're talking about TV. You can buy a ticket, but talk a little bit about this young Jeff Jarrett with the curls and the bleach blonde hair. Does he talk you into the building?
What's interesting about watching that Jeff Jarrett is, to me, it takes me out of what Jeff Jarrett was at the time. Like, he's in a suit and tie with these other two dudes who are, let's call it what it is, Rock and Roll Express / Midnight Rockers ripoffs, trying to recreate what the Rock and Roll Express did in Memphis. And keep in mind, this USWA was also Texas, because if you look at the monitors behind it, that was the Sportatorium. I know. I paid attention to that stuff. That was Chris Adams in the background. But it just kind of took me out of it, to be honest, because it just didn't fit the Jeff Jarrett narrative. I was a huge Jeff Jarrett fan at that time when he was just a good old dude, like not good old boy, like a country boy, but like I was a fan when before that, later on it became Colonel Robert Parker. I can't think of his name right now. Robert Fuller whooped him and ran him over
Oh
with a
yeah.
car and did all these different things to him. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I was all in on Jeff Jarrett. So
Mm-hmm.
I did not like this promo at all, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, it didn't talk me into anything. I thought that, to be honest, I'm not sure if it's Steve Dahl or Rex King. One of them looked a little bit, the one that took his glasses off looked like he had been dibble dabbling in a few other things.
I mean, you saw them moving around the whole time. They were,
It may have been a few other stuff going on there.
yeah.
I just, it was just wrestling promo
Yeah,
day one.
Yeah.
Read
100%.
this.
Yeah,
It wasn't good, and to me, Jeff Jarrett didn't save it. So it did not
yeah,
talk me into the building at all, at
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah.
What became of those two guys? I don't recognize them, and again, I didn't do the research to like, get their life story, so to speak. But anyway, just a thought because
As they
they
were,
feel very
so just to
periphery,
jump in real quick. I remember this tag team. It was called Well Done,
Well done. Yeah.
and they became Well Done later on. I had to
Mm-hmm.
research that. I did not know that off the
Interesting.
top of my head,
Mm-hmm.
but
Right on. And it's funny because you look at the date, right? It's 1990.
1990.
It's this weird inflection point in like pro wrestling period. It's like the golden 80s are over, literally, right? Just by
Mm-hmm.
date. And now we're gonna start getting that flux. And it wasn't just New York. Apparently it was Memphis too that hit that lull
Mm-hmm.
ultimately. But Adrian, I saw you smiling. I saw you giggling a little bit.
I was
What's
entertained.
up?
I
What's
was
entertaining about this one?
I was entertained by it. It was literally the kind of promo that people who don't like wrestling would say that's wrestling. That's
Right.
the perception of
Yeah.
pro wrestling. Like three guys that honestly look like pretty boys for the most part, just moving around and just talking to be talking, essentially. I agree with Greg. It's a very forgettable promo to the effect that I don't know what the conflict is.
exactly.
And it did kind of seem like Jeff Jarrett was kind of like going through the motions. I'll give him that because at least by a timeline, this is shortly after. I mean, shortly before he's headed off to greener pasture. So for all we know, he's like, man, whatever. Let me get this crap over with. It wasn't the best promo, but it brings a smile to my face because you got to take the good with the bad when it comes to promos, especially in different eras. Like I have an appreciation for promos like that because it's a little cringe, but at the same point, it's like, this is pro wrestling, whatever, like that sort of thing.
And again, in approaching this particular episode, like look, we've covered the major stars from Memphis. Like
For
we've
sure.
covered Lawler multiple times. Check out the backlog at intothebuilding.com. But realistically, it's like this is more typical of a weekly show.
100%.
This is what the locals would eat up and be okay with and be like, damn right, I'm gonna be watching
and
with my TV dinner.
Shout out Dirty White Boys because I definitely remember them as a kid.
But,
I remember.
But let me throw one thing in here about we were talking about the cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things about that promo is using the control room. And you're hitting like on the fact that Memphis was a hotbed and was. You think about it, the part of the reason we heard that Lawler did not go to WWE earlier is because he made more money in Memphis because they sold out the freaking arena every Monday. Like that's crazy. But this right here, to me, is the type of promo that takes the Memphis crowd out of it. Because now you have a host who's not Lance Russell, who's not Dave, the weatherman. They're not in the Memphis studio. It's USWA showing Texas behind you. And it's like now I'm almost becoming. I know what they're trying to do. I know they're trying to expand or whatever. But I felt like this is the beginning of the end of them taking out the Memphis crowd. And so that's how thinking about the theme of today, and that's one big thing. I was when you first pulled it up, I'm like, I don't know who this first dude is. Then I'm like, why is Lance Russell not talking to them, or why
Mm-hmm.
isn't Dave talking to them? These were the
Mm-hmm.
staples, and
Mm-hmm.
it just didn't connect for me even from a Memphis fan standpoint.
That's fair.
And to mention that, right? To mention the idea that there is a defined kind of Memphis identity, right? Whether it's in wrestling
Mm-hmm.
or the product in the ring or even the way interviews were done here.
Mm-hmm.
And now you nailed it on the head, right? Because this was just an inflection point, this starts looking different. It's not that identity anymore. It's
Mm.
not in the promo, it's not in the wrestlers, right? Their heart's not in it, clearly. Maybe the tag team is. I don't know about Jeff Jarrett, but it's interesting because then you think that they ever reel it back. And I don't think they do because they're never that property anymore just because of the dynamics of wrestling, what became when it became nationalized. But
Mm.
that's cool. That's cool to think about that. Sometimes you have to respect your audience and
Mm-hmm.
stay true to it.
Yeah,
And this is an example of
because
that.
one of the things we've talked about is the stick man, and you didn't have one in that promo. And I
Yeah.
think um, the 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 Southern Rockers would have been a little bit more focused and a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more engaging had you had that stick man, had you had a Mean Gene or that Lance Russell or Dave, and I can't think of Dave's last name, but like if they kind
Mm-hmm.
of help guide that a little bit and not just let them ramble.
Yeah, I know, and I agree. And I think now in retrospect, that really makes sense because every time we've reviewed any kind of Southern wrestling or like Memphis specifically, even if it was Lawler, he had someone to play off of, right?
Hmm.
He had this back and forth, and it keeps you on rails. It keeps you honest to say, obviously like Mean Gene was like the master of it, of taking the cues, being really thoughtful, and saying like, "Oh, we got to move on.
Hmm.
We got to sell the rest of this promo." But I thought it did a funny job of.
Oh, that's
And I
awesome.
didn't think it was a bad promo initially per se, but I thought it did an interesting job of just capturing this particular moment and what Memphis wrestling was and would eventually not be anymore,
Yeah.
basically, right? So
If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. And be sure to check out our other projects. We talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all. That's a weekly college football podcast where we don't just talk about the Georgia Bulldogs, we talk about all things college football. The Life and Times Pod, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where I have some chill conversations with some cool and interesting people that I've met in my years in the hospitality industry. And of course, check out Talk 'em in the Building. That's a pro wrestling podcast where we solely focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and we pontificate on the promo. It's a fun project, and if you're a pro wrestling fan, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. If you're into TV and movie reviews, check out Four Corners Cinema with Ari and Adrian, a podcast where two lifelong pro wrestling fans review film and other forms of media that just so happen to have some of our favorite pro wrestlers. The Suplex Dinner Club family is growing, and I would love for you to be a part of it.
thinking about cities and continuing on with this little road trip we're taking, we're going to go a little bit north now. We're going to go to the town we just mentioned in the very beginning of the podcast here. We're going to take you to Chicago, Chicagoland, and the
Nice.
great city of Chicago and what it becomes and what it is. And we're going to bring you someone that is, just as, strong-willed and, dare I say, convincing as any Chicago crowd can be. And this is Mr. T with a promo from 1987.
On Horizon, they're talking about it throughout the greater Chicagoland area, from Hammond and Gary down to the south end, all the way up to Evanston, Milwaukee, at points west and south. 8 o'clock start, still even at this hour, plenty of great seats available. Mr. T, come on in, Chicago's own favorite son. Formerly, of course, from the A-Team, from Rocky III, bouncer, boxer, he's done it all. And tonight, you're going to be the official troubleshooting referee when a heavyweight champion of the world, Hulk Hogan, defends against the Macho Man, Randy Savage, in his corner. Dangerous Danny Davis himself, a former referee here in the World Wrestling Federation.
Danny Davis is a wimp, but I don't want to get in a bunch of name calling and whatnot, because people might think I'm trying to be partial to one side. So I'm going to keep my mind on the match itself. That's all I know. I'm so glad to be a part of this here thing, and to call it like I said, I'm in control. That means the fans can come out and relax and be rest assured that no phony stuff is going on. I know because a lot of wrestling matches been going on, the kids come out, they get to crying because the hero lost because the bad guy did something wrong. So if Danny Davis step in the ring, I might just pop upside the head with your stick and keep on with the match. I'm going to keep my mind on what's going on in the ring.
Okay, now, President Jack Tunney of the World Wrestling Federation sees you as a man with a great deal of integrity, of honesty. You can.
And I'm tough. That's the main reason.
Tough.
You saw what I did to the trees. I don't want to talk about the trees no more because all the trees going up my property. Tonight is the night. I'm ready. I'm peaked. I'm just up. I'm just glad to be here. I'm feel so strong. My eyes are sharp. So can't nothing sneaky be going on. I've been watching everybody, corner people, fans, watching everything going on in the ring.
Including the lovely Elizabeth, Mr. T.
No. I don't mix business with pleasure. Keep my mind on the job. Don't dress me nothing like that again.
Okay, I'll never do that again. I'm sorry I asked in the first place. Mr. T, tonight's special guest referee, when Hulk Hogan defends against the Macho Man, Randy Savage, out at the Rosemont Horizon.
Even in 1987, the Rosemont Horizon is getting hella love. But Adrian, your thoughts on Mr. Chicago?
Yeah.
All respect to CM Punk,
Right.
Mr. T here.
Yeah, shout out to T. I mean, watching this just immediately brings the question to me: was the character Mr. T that before the A-Team?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, that's literally his character, BA and the A-Team.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And so it's just one of those, it was a chicken before the egg situation here.
Nah, I think he was that way. When they put him on the A-Team, they should have just called him Mr. T. It was just like like BU.
Right.
And that's what I was wondering. I was like, man, I wonder, was it that he just got that gimmick basically from doing A-Team, saw how popular it was, and I was just like, hey, if it's not broke, I ain't fixing it. And he didn't fix it for 50 plus years, so he's a Hall of Famer because of that gimmick. But he's a memorable character for those of us that were able to either watch it live or, I mean, hell, if you watch any classic WWE material, you know how important Mr. T was to professional wrestling, so credit to him, props to him. One of the most interesting characters, I would say, in American television. He's one of the most interesting characters in American television.
And not a perfect promo by any means. You see him like stumbling a little bit, but still true to the character. But Greg, we just it's like we evoked him here, right? With Mean Gene. Talk a little bit about the job Mean Gene does with someone who is this is not their natural forte. They may be great on the screen as B.A. Baracus on the A-Team and on commercials, but this is, even though it's a pre-tape, it's kind of live to tape, right? It's a very different experience. What a masterful job Mean Gene does. It's so second nature, right?
It is, but let me throw something else at you. This is where I say this is a very good promo. What I like about it is it's not perfect.
Right.
And it shouldn't be. He's not a wrestler. He's not on TV for this. He's not even talking about somebody specific, except he threw in Danny Davis. But what I loved about what Mean Gene did is he talked about Miss Elizabeth and the way Mr. T reacted. Oh, no. I mean, that was awesome. Like, that whole reaction was so genuine. That, to me, made it feel real. Because the lifestyle he led and the role model lifestyle he led is exactly what he just came across.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Very good point.
And then here's something else I don't think you guys picked up on. WrestleMania 3 or 1 was in 1985. So he was in the main event. And then the following year, he had a match with Roddy Piper. He never did another match, to my knowledge, ever. But I don't think he ever did anything really on TV until Hogan went to WCW.
Oh,
This was
okay.
a house show in
Hmm.
1987.
Oh, wild.
So
Okay.
this is not I'm in a program. This is not I've been on TV every single week. This is a
Mm-hmm.
local promo for Chicago house show.
Mm.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
we talk about celebrities even today, and now the celebrities ain't gonna show up unless it's a PLE or TV. This is not TV.
Mm.
And I was like, because when I'm looking at that, I'm like, wait a second. This is,
Mm.
according to the date, it said August 8th. And I'm like, 87? Like, that's WrestleMania 3 year. And I'm like, wait. And then if you look at the side, it had Macho Man at the same thing. I'm like, these are local promos. And so for a
Right.
local promo, so that's why I want to capture it into its own capsule. For a local promo, that was excellent because
That's
it
true.
wasn't for a nationwide audience. He's
Yeah, that's
brought in
true.
because he's from Chicago. He's brought in to bring in fans. He's going to be a referee. And so at that moment, it's a perfect promo. He didn't put over Hogan. He didn't talk too much about Hogan. Didn't really talk about Macho Man too much. He talked about Danny Davis and then the whole, oh no, I'm not going to do that stuff with Elizabeth. But I thought overall it was a very good promo, especially when you're looking at it in that capsule of what it was.
Mm.
That's a cool detail too. And again, thinking back to the past, I mean, now they can fill a stadium with whatever they want, but it's thinking like you got to sell to the local market. And oftentimes I guess my critique is they send out the wrestlers. They don't look like they're happy to be on local TV. And it's almost like they switched it. They're like, let's bring a local guy in to do a promo to sell those tickets to the local fans. And it works masterfully because I want to see Mr. T,
Yeah.
guest referee.
Well, the biggest stars in the
Don't get me
world at the
some
time.
He's a
TV.
movie star at that
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
Huge star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he had his own cartoon. He had his own cereal. He had his own everything.
Rocky, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's post all that. Yeah.
Has there ever been anyone that came in like that, like as a hometown celebrity or someone maybe even with some combat experience, but someone that, was like that? I really can't remember anyone specific.
The only comparison when it comes to hometown hero and being a part of the draw, you got to bring up Bad Bunny. Like that Backlash pay-per-view there in Puerto Rico, like
it's a whole country.
Like that was all, yeah, exactly. And he was the hometown hero. Like his entrance alone, like that's worth an episode of this podcast to acknowledge that whole journey and his entrance and just that crowd reaction. Like that was true hometown. You're representing a country, like you said.
But I think on the flip side of that, I'm trying to think about being here in Atlanta. You always had tie-ins. I'm thinking house shows. You would have tie-ins to radio stations, DJs, guest ring announcer. Rarely did you have a guest like that.
Right.
I can't think of Falcons or anybody like that back in the
can't
day.
think
Going
of
to the
any.
Omni, seeing people in a house show. I mean, radio DJs all the time. You always have from like the rock station or the country station. But beyond that, that's why I'm like looking at this going, this is a pretty big get for a house show.
Right.
For sure.
Right. Huh. Yeah, I thought it was cool. And it's just literally the star of the show is Chicago, right? Like just from the get-go, they're
Definitely.
just hyping it up and selling the crowd and like, you're a great crowd. We want you to be here, basically, And that's pretty interesting. I was trying to think out here on the West Coast, but it's a little bit of a cheat just because it's like celebrities out here and stuff like that. So
that's true.
They just go to shows just to go to a show or whatever it is. But especially like Rhonda back in the day and PWG and just a bunch of people went through PWG. I think some other cast members of some sitcoms and whatnot. Cool. So we're gonna shift gears. So we've stayed on the East Coast for the most part, or some version of that, Southern and East Coast. We're gonna transition into the Pacific Northwest. So I don't know if I define what a Pacific Northwest promo, but it definitely has some I've been kind of watching a lot of Defy lately, which is a promotion out here in the Pacific Northwest, and I don't know. There's a particular style. I'm thinking like modern wrestlers like a Daniel Bryan or even a Darby Allin nowadays, and they have very unique promo sets. But what unifies them is that area, right? This promo is one from a few years ago. We're gonna stay in the '80s here, and this is Stony Brook. And let's just say, I'll let you watch it for yourself and decide how he gets himself over.
Here in 1986, Don Koss, there's one word in all Americans' mind: the rededication of the Statue of Liberty and the different things that are going on, and that's. Got my word.
Well, that's celebration. We're talking celebration here, partner.
All right. We're talking tradition.
That's right.
Yes.
When you talk about the Pacific Northwest, the word tradition, there's one thing that comes to mind. That's Don Owens' promotion, Big Time Wrestling. For many years, the greatest wrestlers, anywhere you wrestle in this country, you find wrestlers that at one time or the other have been here wrestling for the Pacific Northwest. All the way through, all the different parts of the world, all the different federations, the associations, Don Owen promotion wrestlers out there wrestling. So these people want to see the best show, the greatest wrestling. Don Owens does it.
And he's done. Don Owen and the Owen family, Stoney, they've been doing this for over 60 years.
That's right.
I mean, you go way, way back. I found out a little while ago, it's been a couple of years or so, that Don Owen's dad brought in Gorgeous George. In fact, he got Gorgeous George's first suit way back in the 40s or early 50s or something.
That's the way it is. So you people out in Pendleton on the 3rd, you come on out, you see it. You're going to see the greatest wrestling, the best wrestlers that anybody has to offer. And now I want to just talk about Stony Brook a little bit. I've been around here for a little while. I'm learning the ropes. The clan members, you guys start watching out. You guys are sitting at home, you're sipping your beer, you're watching Big Time Wrestling. I want you to take a good look at Stony Brook. I'm working out in the gym. I'm doing everything I can. I'm working out on the mat. I'm working out in the ring. I've got different guys helping me, and there's going to be some main events coming in my future. And believe me, I'm going to do the best with them that I can.
Well, you're the man that can do it, Stoney, because we've watched you improve week after week since you've been here in the Northwest, and you're a very exciting wrestler to watch. And you put a few lumps and some heads out there in the ring, too.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, and the lumps are going to keep coming, and I'm going to keep improving. And sooner or later, I'm going to make a dent in this Pacific Northwest. I want to keep that great tradition going.
Okay, Stony Brook. Thank you.
Let's keep the tradition going. All right. How did this? How many lumps did it take to get you into the building here?
Jeez, man. Yeah, I don't know if it's CTE, early stages of CTE with that promo.
Oh man.
Or I don't know, man. He's a work in progress. That's what I guess that's the sell there. He's a work in progress. Like, hey, shout out to the stick man, because he was trying to keep him on track. He was filling in the gaps, and he was also giving the guy compliments, even though he was stumbling, bumbling everywhere. So that was rough. That was a rough one, Sony. That was a rough one.
And I have heard of Big Time Wrestling since. Like, it was a significant promotion.
It was big,
fly by night thing, you know.
Right,
it was like
right.
historically important to like the scene.
Yeah.
But again, never heard of the guy. But clearly very locally focused. You even see on the lower third the Seattle local TV station pops up, right? So we're talking about a promo where he's trying to talk to the local audience. You know, this is maybe a regional promo at best. But Greg, we just talked about the importance of it. Stickman, Adrian mentioned it, but also knowing your audience and how much of this is on him and how much of this is on maybe he wasn't TV ready yet.
So this is a prime example why Vince McMahon said we need to produce these things. This is a prime example of where we said, here's a script. This is what you have to say.
Yeah.
He legit said, I forgot my word.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He definitely said that.
Then he went down a whole thing about Don Owens. And I think the Stickman sucked too, because all of a sudden he's talking about Don Owens. I'm like, why are we talking about this promotion? And now we're talking about Gorgeous George. And now, and you got a headband on, holding your hair back or something. I don't know what. I know it's a little headset, but that was the craziest looking little headset. And I'm thinking it looked like a 4-year-old's girl's headband on his head. And then we go, oh yeah, well, let's stop talking about Don Owens and we're gonna talk about you. I'd rather have kept talking about Don Owens because he was horrible.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
It was rough,
I've
man.
been rolling around. Then the bell's ringing. And at first I thought, did somebody die? Like, are we gonna get a 10-bell salute?
Right.
Because I
Yeah.
felt like I was dying. Like, I'm like, oh my God, 10-bell salute this dude and kill him. Oh, that was awful. That was just awful.
Oh,
Yeah, that was rough.
it felt like being in church and forgetting the words to something, or being in front of a bad crowd. Because, brother, you can see that his face. He wants to die. He wants
he's
not to
freaking
be
out.
there for any reason whatsoever. He's literally looking to the sky for an escape route.
Yeah,
And
it was
it's
rough,
like,
man.
how do you put him in that position with the light? And then how do you release this? Like, this is clearly taped. Can you not show this? Or like,
Right.
can you show it to me before you show
can cut, snip, and tape it back together.
Right.
Oh,
That may have been his best take, to be honest, man.
but it's probably live to tape. So
yeah, it did seem live. Yeah,
it was the 80s. Yes,
it was. But at the same time, and this is put this in perspective, that was a large territory. Like that was I don't know if you guys remember Billy Jack Haynes and people like that. That was their territory. They came from there to WWE. I think Pat Patterson had a huge influence up there at one point. So this was not a small territory. This was real, and Stoney needed to go. And hopefully he left and put a mask on when he came back and then
that's what I was gonna say. Put a mask on him, man. Put a mask on him.
I know. When I found out,
because physically he looked the
good-looking
part.
dude. Yeah, for sure.
He's a good-looking dude, but he did not talk me into the building. That's for sure. He talked me into changing the channel. That's what he did. Like at some point, see, we don't have control. So at least there's one controlling that. I wanted to just stop it. Like I was like, if I could hit a button and make this stop, I would stop it.
It's wave a flag.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! The last time, oh man, and Adrian, you'll remember this even just in video, but the last time I remember sitting through something like that was like, it wasn't as bad. I'll be honest, but it was fairly cringy for its era. And we've talked about it before. This is Ricochet, and there was a New Japan show. It was a weekend. It was one of the greatest weekends of all time for me. It was an all-timer.
Yeah.
He got in the mic. He got in a New Japan ring and did the most un-New Japan thing you could ever do in a ring, which is do a full-on Rock impression. I mean,
and a bad one.
And
a bad one.
Let's just call it what it is. It was a terrible one. The live crowd had some tepid reaction, I think, because we were just, in the moment and we didn't really care. But you go back to it and you're like, how does that fit in with the rest of this, these 2 nights? Like, edit it out, take it out. God bless him for being better now and working at it.
I'm still looking for someone to turn out like a link to that promo because it gave the revert. Did you?
Yeah.
We got to show that on one episode or do something.
We'll break it down.
It was the reverse of what that promo should have been.
Right.
The crowd was so excited to see Ricochet because once again, the dude's on fire at this point. Like, when it comes to I want to say this is after him and Will cut it up initially and all of that. Like, it's high when we see him. And at the end of that promo, we're all looking at each other like, what the hell was that? Fuck? Like, it was bad. I specifically remember looking at my buddy Christian. We were both like, dude, never give him a mic again. And then the next time we see him, Lucha Underground, he's under a mask, not talking, and it makes sense. So, yeah.
Keep your shit up.
But we definitely need to have a breakdown of that promo. I forgot you recorded that. Yeah, we definitely need to do that.
I always clip out when he does the if you smell that part.
He did that.
It was so cringe. Dude, it was so cringe. It was so cringe, Greg. I swear it was so cringe. It was so cringe.
Wow.
It was so
this
cringe.
is on a weekend that my biggest critique, and I love Billy Gunn. That dude's then in person, that dude's a freaking massive
he's
piece of work.
monster.
He's huge.
Yeah.
But the biggest critique is like, why is Tanahashi facing Billy Gunn?
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
that's true.
And
Yeah,
now in retrospect, I'm like, oh, big American dude, I get it.
right. That's it. Yeah.
But it was just hilarious because I'm like, up to that point, that was my biggest critique, and I'm like, oh, well, I've been topped.
Yeah,
so there you go.
That was rough, man. That was rough.
That was something else. Well, I'm gonna bring it home tonight, guys. I'm gonna land land this plane on this road trip we've been having here, and I'm gonna take you guys back. I really tried hard to think about it. We've covered so many cities, we covered so many eras and genres. I had to come to the present, and a dude that's always been an LA dude through and through, specifically in Los Angeles here, a Valley guy, an 818 guy, this local guy, one Brody King. This is an early promo. It's fairly short. Most of his other promos are kind of under lock and key with various streaming platforms from early on, from New Japan, and hell, even AEW. This comes from PCW Ultra, which we became actually one of the pretty well run indies out around here. They would bring pretty big talent, always pair like a really stellar main event with some good lower card. And their hook was they'd have a legend and they'd pay for a legend to come in, like a Stan Hansen would be doing the pre-show, signing autographs, doing your meet and greet, glad handing you, and then you got like a Penta Hammerstone main event, right? Something like that. Fatu made a great run there, right? So it's a great company. Check them out online if you don't. But this is Brody King, who had a pretty nice run there in PCW Ultra down in Wilmington. It's near Long Beach, Adrian.
Refuse to lose. Refuse to lose. Refuse to lose. Joe Graves. On December 1st, I refuse to lose. The thing you don't understand about War Beast is when you fight one, you fight three. A hive mind of violence. And with the devil on our side, you never stood a chance.
So I wish I could have found a longer promo, but for me, Brody King encapsulates this very specific genre of LA. LA is such a diaspora of cultures, of people, of work class, even, right? And oftentimes we think of Hollywood because that's just so easy, but this is one of the neighborhoods. This is 818, LA, Southern California, hardcore scene. Working class dude who came into wrestling a little later in life. But although this is well produced, Adrian, what are your thoughts on kind of this, who Brody King is, and through the promo? I know he's had other more fleshed out ones in AEW and has more of a character.
No, I honestly, man, I think that short promo, that was perfect. That was perfect in the sense of it gives you an idea of what his character is. I love the production of it because it's gritty. It is sort of unhinged to the point where he's bringing up, "I'm with the devil," and you believe him. Like that's the point of it, And I think oftentimes when it comes to these promos, I think sometimes we have to be more of viewers from that specific event, that specific promo, and not all of the other context that we know of that person. And with that being said, that was a 30-second promo. I think that was perfect. It gave you an idea. It gave you an idea of who his opponent was, what was his motivations, and what made him unique compared to other people. When you start talking about hive mind and all this stuff, like you're a little loopy, man. And that's what the desired effect was. Like I want to see more of that, Brody. So yeah, I loved it.
And he has a great run. And this is a guy who's still in the game. I would run into him at like New Japan Dojo shows. I mean, he was doing that secondary gimmick of like, and we all recognized him, right? He'd be outside like basically taking your ticket, and we're like, "You're freaking Brody King. What are you doing taking a ticket at a New Japan show?"
Right.
And there was a few workers there who were the same. We're like quietly, "Hey man, good to see you out here type of thing.
Mhm.
But Greg, talk about this, because this is an imposing dude who clearly he knows his character.
Mhm.
You know, there's some confidence there he's building, because this is
Mhm.
still something different. But shortly thereafter, you know, he actually says a goodbye to PCW because he's on to greener pastures.
Mhm.
But what are your thoughts on this particular kind of time capsule of Brody King?
So I enjoyed this a lot. So let's go back to the previous one. No
Right.
production, nobody producing
Mhm.
it, messed up all over the
Bingo.
place. The guy's getting lost. He's green. He doesn't know what to say. He's forgetting his words. The stick man's like,
Mhm.
eh.
Yep.
Flip into this where it's succinct. It tells a quick story. To Adrian's point, it does the 101. It mentions when, where,
Mhm.
the
Yep.
opponent, all that kind of stuff. But the production value and the grittiness of it builds character. So it's a way to build a character without him having to say a whole lot.
Right.
And it talks you, when you say, does it talk you into the building? It talks me into wanting to know more about him.
Right.
Right.
And so sometimes you need those short pieces. So later on, we get the bigger ones. So I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed that a
Yeah.
lot. And I think
Heck yeah.
that was a perfect segue from our previous promo where it was just nothing, right? And it was a perfect, like, hey, this is the dangers of giving somebody a live mic and just go with it,
Mm.
to then flip into this one where it's like, hey, know exactly what you're going to do, know who you are, and let's keep it short and sweet. So now when you come out of this, it's it it leaves people wanting more.
Mhm.
And don't get it wrong, because y'all both hit it, and Greg, you hit it on there on the end too, of it being deliberately almost 101, right? But also hitting the right notes. But this idea that you guys both mentioned of grittiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Opening kind of sizzle there. You're like, oh, this is not a lighthearted promo. This isn't going
Right.
to be this dude. This is dark. He means business. But one of the things that I think is a credit to Brody, because I know he had a hand in it, two things. He knows the value of production. He was a tradesman out here building sets in Hollywood. That was like the family trade.
Okay.
And he had a union job. He had no reason to go in wrestling, but you know, obviously it's a passion, and he's doing great at it. And second, his homeschool Santino Bros, which I've brought up in the past, part of their schooling, or part of their process, is to teach you how to build these promos,
Mm.
and how to sell yourself and build this character. And obviously, you know, it's done with the budget. And now, I mean, now with cameras and with phones and all this software, you can make it look like $1 million realistically, right? But in the past episodes, listeners, if you go back to the catalog, intothebuilding.com, we actually covered another one of his someone who came through Santino, which is Kid Bandit.
Right.
And it gave me vibes of that. Like, you can almost kind of pair them side by side. That one was like in the Kid Bandit promo was in like in a cemetery, and it's very
Mhm.
dark. Adrian even made the comment that was like turning the camera like old ECW style, like
Yeah.
low
Yeah.
angles and whatnot. So here you got a high angle, because if you go low, it's almost like he's too imposing, right?
Mm.
Which is an interesting choice. But I think this dude is money on the mic when he sticks to that character. And like you're both saying here, when it is edited, he's gotten more confidence as time goes on a live mic.
Right.
But I think those produced segments with like the, you know, the dark and the dark themes, and, you know, that hardcore basically scene. I love the stuff they did with in AEW ultimately, and it didn't
Mhm.
work out. But I thought that was a good way of highlighting like his strengths ultimately. And this is clearly a proof that he can fly solo and be just as good.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, listeners, if you have any local promos or any city-based, you know, thoughts, what are your favorite cities to enjoy wrestling and the crowds, or what are some unique experiences you had that were more because of the city that you visited, or even if it's your own hometown? We want to hear it. Shout us out in the comments. But again, thank you for joining us today. Always enjoy the time, fellas. It's fun. It's
Definitely,
always
man.
hilarious to
Always.
laugh, to analyze, to overanalyze, and get into this sport of pro wrestling and the promo that we love so much. But again, if this is your first time watching, thank you for making it to the end, and check us out. Like, comment, subscribe. We're on all the platforms, but intothebuilding.com takes you to the YouTube feed.
Yep.
Other than that, from Adrian, from Greg, out in Atlanta, this is Adelia out in LA. We'll see y'all next time here on Talking in the Building.